So, I saw a video today on TikTok of this young man, African American, saying how he wants to go to Africa to find a wife. And he said all this after watching Tyler, our beautiful sister from South Africa. And he's like, you know what? That's it. We just need to go to Africa to find wives. Audacity. Anyway, me being African, I was raised in Africa and I was also raised in the United States. So I have experience from both continents, okay? And let me tell you something. If you are an American man who thinks that going outside of the United States is where you will find a good woman, a good wife, because American women ask for too much. The ladies out here, man, they're just materialistic. Let me tell you something. It is worse. It is 1,000 times worse than what you think back home in Africa. At least for the country that I was raised in and the culture that I was raised in. Because here's the thing. African women, African young girls, we are raised to literally know that the man is the provider. In fact, a lot of African women don't even go to work. Their men are the ones who go to work and just bring the money home for the wife to budget. And if you think the women here in America are asking for too much, in fact, go to Africa. No, go get married. Because the way African young girls are raised, we are raised with so much knowledge about family, friendship, how to deal with lives. So when families in Africa see that their daughters have gone through so much learning and they have become knowledgeable of life and marriage and all those things, they know the value of their daughters. And they say, you know what? Any man cannot come and marry our daughter for free. He has to pay a dowry. And that's why majority of African cultures, before a man goes to take the daughter to marry a woman, he has to pay the family a dowry, an appreciation. And dowry can go from money to cows and goats to even building the girl's family a house. Yes, and it's all to show appreciation to the family of the girl that thank you so much for raising such a beautiful and wonderful woman who's gonna be the mother of my kids. So, the system works differently. The United States, after living here for almost 10 years, I've realized that here, men just take for free. And I know this might be triggering and or insulting some people, but it's the truth. Men in the United States are used to taking things for free, especially from women. They expect, well, I'm just gonna go date her, have sex with her here and there and use her, and then we'll just be in a relationship. It does not work like that in Africa. It is worse. You cannot take someone's daughter for free like that. You have to impress her and the family, most importantly. And in some cultures, like my own, if you have not proven yourself as a man that you have the resources to take care of someone's daughter, guess what? Even the family has the right to take you to court, to police, and say, we brought this man, he wants to take our daughter for free. Or if you've already taken the daughter without paying the family a dowry, they can say, he stole our daughter from us. Without any appreciation. And guess who is gonna win the case? The family of the girl. So to any American man or any man worldwide who wants to marry a woman in Africa, use your common sense. You have to be very, very strong in your masculinity to know that I do not expect my wife to work if she doesn't want to. She can or she cannot. My position as the man in her life will not change whether she works or not. My position is to provide for her. So my brother, you want to go to Africa to find a wife because they're much more nicer, let me tell you, they come with the most costly, how do I say this? And this is not like a selling your daughter type of thing. No, the families are not exchanging their children for money and possessions. No, it's simply the man giving to the girl's family in appreciation of receiving a wife. He who finds a wife finds a what? A good thing. Yes, so if you're an American man, because that's all I've seen, and you're used to taking things for free, don't go to Africa. Don't. You will be hunted down like a criminal for stealing someone's daughter. No sense.
Oh, y'all, I have a lot to say about this, okay? And y'all know that I am a just flower. I am an unbiased tower. So I'm going to say the truth, and nothing but the truth. So I'm going to speak from the perspective of an African American woman. Okay, so as we all know, African Americans are descended from transatlantic slavery in the United States of America, right? And I'm going to talk about my experience dating an African man. Okay, so the man that I dated was Kenyan, right? And he volunteered to pay for everything all of the time. Like, it was never a question, it was never an argument. He volunteered, he took that upon himself, right? But let me talk about something he said one day about Kenyan women that just completely threw me off, right? And it was wild because we had never spoken about Kenyan women before ever. So he just randomly came out the left field with this, right? So he was like, yeah, I don't like Kenyan women. And I was like, well, why do you say that? Because I think it's very weird when a man says that he doesn't like the women of his background. Like, I don't care what background the man is. I think it's very weird. Like, if a white man says he doesn't like white women, I'm gonna be looking at him like, why don't you like white women? You're white, right? If a black man says he doesn't like black women, I'm gonna be looking at him, why don't you like black women? You're black, right? So when this Kenyan man said he doesn't like Kenyan women, I was like, why would you say that? So when I asked him, I said, well, why would you say that? I think that's weird. And I think I elaborated. I think I said, I think that's weird because, you're a Kenyan man, so nobody's going to understand you like a Kenyan woman. That just is what it is. I'm never going to understand you the way a Kenyan woman would. You're never going to understand me the way an African American man would. Now, we can explain our cultures and our upbringings to each other. We can respect those things and participate in them, but still, nobody's really going to understand you the way that somebody from your same background is going to understand you. It just is what it is, okay? So he says that he doesn't like Kenyan women because they're lazy and gold diggers, right? He was like, yeah, they lazy. They just want the man to do everything, so and so and so, yada, yada, yada. And I thought that was very weird because he never had any issue paying for everything for me. But if a Kenyan woman asks him to pay for something, then he gonna be talking about they gold diggers. Like, what? And I told him, I said, I'm lazy and a gold digger too. You pay for everything for me. Like, you've never complained about that. You volunteered to do that, but you mad when Kenyan women, expect the same treatment. Like, what? How does that make sense? That interaction with that Kenyan man made me realize something. A lot of times when men complain about whatever, they don't actually have an issue with that thing. They just have an issue with the women of their background requesting that thing, right? Like that Kenyan man sat there and said, Kenyan women are lazy and gold diggers. They want the men to pay for everything, so and so and so, yada, yada, yada. While he paid for everything for me. I never had to ask him to. There was never any argument or pushback. No, he immediately just stepped into that role and did it for me. But then he sat there and said, well, yeah, if Kenyan women expected that of me, they'd be gold diggers and lazy. Like, what? So I'm saying that because these African American men that this African woman is responding to, I bet they will go to Africa and they would do whatever needs to be done. I bet they will pay that bride price and be a provider and so and so and so and yada, yada, yada. Because again, the issue is not actually that they have an issue with what, the women of their background is requesting. It's just they have an issue with the women of their background, period. It's the same way you see black men talk about how they don't like black women because we're loud and angry and aggressive and so and so and so, right? But then they will turn around and say that, Latina women, the mestiza mixed up ones, when they're loud and aggressive and beating their ass and shit, a Latina woman could put her hands on a black man, and black men will never be like, oh, that's a mad Latina woman, I don't like them, they masculine, so and so and so. No, they'll call them spicy. Oh, that's spicy Latina stereotype. Oh, they crazy, so and so and so. Because again, the issue is not actually with the behavior itself. The issue is simply with the fact that these men have an issue with the women of their own background doing whatever, but not women of other backgrounds doing it. You have to ask yourself, why? Why is it that these men are okay with women of other backgrounds doing XYZ, but not the women of their own backgrounds? Honestly, with a lot of black men, I think it is an issue of self-hatred. And to be fair, I will say I don't really speak to non-black men. So I don't really hear them be like, oh, I don't like the women of my background. I don't hear that very much. But That may not be because it's not happening. That may be because, again, I just don't talk to them, right? But this is my thing. And I'm going to be honest with y'all and I'm going to be truthful, okay? What I notice with black men of all backgrounds, okay? Whether they're African, Caribbean, African American, whatever, right? They seek out women they perceive as less black because of a self-hatred thing, okay? Now, again, I'm gonna explain this truthfully, and y'all gonna have to deal with it how you deal with it, okay? With African American men, when they say that they don't like African American women, yada yada yada, so and so and so, you see them date other races, right? You see them date white women, Latina women, so and so and so, yada yada yada. Even with this passport bros thing that's becoming popular, you don't see them niggas talking about going to Africa. You see them talking about going to Mexico and Asia and stuff where non-black women are, okay? That's the reality, all right? Then, with African and Caribbean men, when you see them say that they don't like the women of their background, they don't like African women, they don't like Caribbean women, you see them date white women, Latina women, Asian women, etc., but you also see them date African American women. And I'm going to explain exactly why that is. You will notice they could date an African American woman like me, who's clearly black. Like, there's no racial ambiguity, no biracial bone, whatever. I'm clearly a black woman, right? So you will be thinking to yourself, well, there must not be any self-hatred there because, I mean, he's dating somebody who is clearly still a black woman, right? But I swear to you, I promise to you, in a lot of these men's mind, Africans and Caribbeans, right? African Americans are more white than Africans and Caribbeans. Even if it's somebody like me who is clearly black, it's not even inherently about being like mixed up necessarily. It's just about the fact that our culture, for example, is less similar to African culture. Like a lot of the stuff that Africans do was taken from us during slavery and things like that. So we're viewed as closer to white people than an African or a Caribbean, right? So that's why you'll notice when African and Caribbean men have this self-hating mentality, they don't just date non-black women. They will also date African American women. And like I said, when they do go out and they date these women in these other backgrounds, they don't have any issues doing the things that the women of their own background requested of them, right? The issue is not about, oh, these women asked me to provide, or, oh, these women asked me to do whatever. The issue in and of itself is the fact that these men want a closer proximity to whiteness or perceived whiteness or whatever, which is why they strive to date white women, Asian women, Latina women, and in the case of African and Caribbean men, they'll even date African Americans because they view that as a closer proximity to whiteness than Africans and Caribbeans. That's the honest to God truth. That's the reality of the fact. So in response to this African woman, side note, I look very good. It's crazy because I'm hungover. I'm about to take a nap, but I look amazing. All right. But anyway, in response to this woman, if African American men were going over to Africa, they wouldn't have no issue paying the dowry and being a provider and stuff. Because again, their issue is not with that stuff. They have internalized issues that they're projecting onto the women of their communities. The same way the men of your communities do that same exact thing, right? And also, again, I really don't think African American men are going to Africa for wives. That's really not happening. There's been a number of times on social media I've had African and Caribbean women try to, rub this in my face and say, oh yeah, like, your men don't like you. They like foreign women. They like exotic women like us. And I'm like, girl, I promise you, any nigga who says he like exotic women is not thinking about you. That's not the definition. What they really mean, because people like to use euphemisms and stuff. They don't like to come right out and say what they really mean, right? What they really mean is they want non-black women, okay? But they just cover it up by saying foreign or exotic instead of saying, oh yeah, like I want a non-black woman. Because, it looks a little better. It seems a little, self-hating, anti-black, whatever, right? And a lot of African and Caribbean women misunderstand that, and they really think they're talking about, foreign women, non-American women. No, that's not at all what they are saying. Okay, like honestly, they be fine with a white American woman because again, it has nothing to do with being foreign or exotic. It has to do with not being black. So the reality of the fact is, these niggas not going to Africa for wives because that's not what they looking for.